Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising is the second game for the Teburu board game console. Like computer consoles, the Teburu needs a solid game collection to make the platform succeed. Teburu shows some real potential, but after a meager €310,000 for the first Kickstarter campaign in 2022, Explored hungers for a AAA title. In this video, we'll mainly focus on Milan Uprising. If you want to know more about the Teburu board game console, then please check out our previous video. You will find a link at the top of the screen. And now, without further ado, let's sink our teeth in Milan Uprising and the GameFound campaign.
Milan, an old city with a long history, is in the midst of a secret war. The vampire prince's grip on the city is slipping, and when night falls, blood flows. As rebel vampires, the time is ripe for you to leave your haven and make a grab for this power. This city. Your city.
Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising is a cooperative board game for 1 to 4 players. The game is inspired by Vampire the Masquerade, a role-playing game set in the world of darkness, and both games share the same lore, but Milan Uprising has its own mechanics and rules. The game combines a story-driven campaign with investigation and simple area control elements. Players play as anarch vampires that are struggling for autonomy against the oppression of the ruling vampire sect. The goal of the game unravels when players progress through the story, but as the title suggests, players need to take control of the city and overthrow the ruling sect by causing an uprising. The game is broken up into a day and night cycle. In the night cycle, players spend action points to move and interact on the map. A lot of the interactions calls for making decisions and/or making dice checks. The result can determine the direction in which the story progresses. In the day phase, they rest in a safe house and upkeep and progress their characters. While players are increasing their influence in the city, they encounter the Camarilla, the ruling vampire sect, and the Inquisition, humans that are hunting vampires. Players need to keep a low profile. Humans are unaware of the vampires that live among them. If you take too many actions, you risk breaking the masquerade. And players also need to keep track of their hunger. Hunger basically denies the option to mitigate dice rolls. Fighting over regions, maintaining the masquerade and satisfying your hunger all add up to a little more depth, and it's vital to keep the game interesting. For a detailed overview on the game, I recommend watching Ryan's video of Man vs. Meeple. He has done an excellent job covering the game, and you will find a link to his video in the description of this video. Now that you have a general impression of the game, let's discuss the quality of the game. Is this game worth buying? The basic pledge with the Teburu costs €190. This will get you the game with a 24-hour long campaign, the console and just 1 die. An extra 2 dice costs an additional €30. So if you include the extra dice, a basic pledge is €220, excluding shipping and excluding VAT for European backers and UK backers. If you do the math, you can see it's expensive. Now, is Milan Uprising worth it? To be frank, I had a hard time making up my mind. I really do like the Teburu system, and I think Explored deserves all of our praise for bringing the innovative system to the board game community. For quite a while, I couldn't see the Teburu system and Milan Uprising apart from each other. But in a moment of clarity, I admitted to myself I would never back Milan Uprising if it wasn't released on the Teburu system. The game is basically a narrative-driven sequence of dice skill checks with some added layers of complexity. Milan Uprising would not be of interest to me if it was a normal board game. The price for 24 hours of campaign is steep, and the game hasn't any innovative or unique gameplay mechanics to offer. The story can make up for it, but there is a lot of competition in the co-op campaign segment, and there are still some unplayed campaigns on my shelves waiting to be discovered. I can definitely see people disagreeing with my opinion. The Teburu and the Milan Uprising story can make up all the difference. I'm passing on the opportunity to pick up the Teburu for now, and I will wait for the next campaign. I expect the Teburu to be paired with swords and sorceries, and will take the risk that the Teburu will be more expensive when a new crowdfunding campaign is announced. We'll see. Hopefully Explored will attract more publishers to the platform in the meanwhile. I'm still convinced that the Teburu needs a solid game library to attract a big audience, otherwise the platform might risk bleeding to death. 1d6 is an independent and unsponsored YouTube channel. We share our honest and unvarnished opinions and focus on the best board games on the market. We're sorry that Milan Uprising couldn't live up to our sky-high expectations. If you value our opinion and appreciate our videos, please leave a like to this video or even consider subscribing to the channel. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video.